Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well guys, we're going to try to keep this video kind of short. I've been working really hard getting Ruby prepped. I know I'm getting sick of doing it. I know you guys are getting sick of watching it. So look at this. All we've got is just a little spot right here to get done, and we are done, which I'm so happy about. So today we're going to do a quick update on everything I've done off camera. It seems like every time I turn around there's something else to get done before we can spray epoxy. So we'll go over all that. And we're going to beautify the door jambs because they are kind of rough. The other side took a tremendous amount of work. This side is a little bit nicer. So we'll just go over some of the things we're going to do here, get those knocked out, get this side done. Now I'm doing the exterior slightly different than I've been doing everything else, you know, with the wire wheel and all that other stuff. It's very similar, but just slightly different. And we'll go over that real quick. We'll just do a little section right here and we'll call it good. So let's jump in, take a quick look at everything I've got done, and then we'll get to work on this door jamb. All right, as you can see, I've got almost everything done. We got a little bit right there left to do. We'll take care of that in a bit. So I went through and I re-sanded everything up in here. I got up inside the rear glass area and I flattened out that flange all the way around. So that was kind of up and down where they spot welded together. So I went through there and hammer and dollied and squeezed it with pliers and got that nice and flat and straight. And I took the Rolock and I got it smoothed out really nice. So when the glass goes in, it'll fit nice and flat. It was pretty lumpy, so it took quite a bit of urethane sealer to get the glass to lay in there nice and flat. So hopefully that's gonna go a lot better. So we got all that cleaned up. Sail panels are all done. All that's done. Then down inside around here. This took a little bit of work. I don't know if you guys can see way over there. So right where the taillight assembly bracket spot welds up to where the trunk seal goes, that is down a little bit. But over here, it was actually sticking up. So they spot welded together crooked or not right. I measured everything out, looks right, but this piece right here was sticking up. So I had to scribe it and cut that off so it looks the same. I mean, it's not perfect, but you know, that's the best I could do, short of, you know, breaking all the spot welds and redoing all their work, which I'm not gonna do. And then we redid all this back here. So this was a lot of hand work to make sure this got scuffed and cleaned up really nice. Didn't really run into any big problems back here, just a few little minor things. Everything's prepped all the way down through. Got down inside the channel really well to make sure it was nice and clean and ready for epoxy. So that's going good. This is the quarter panel that I put on, and it did not have holes for the GTO emblem. So I'm not kidding, guys. It took me probably an hour and a half to get those holes in the right spot. I couldn't get it right. So I finally figured it out, drilled the holes, and the emblem fits in there perfect. So then what else did we do? Then we came around here and over here on the windshield. I did a very similar thing I did on the back. So this flange right here had a lot of sheet metal because there's two pieces of sheet metal spot welded together. One stuck out in a few spots and it wasn't very straight. So what I did was I took the cutoff wheel and I cut that off nice and straight and parallel all the way down. Then once again, I smoothed all that out, flattened it all out so the glass will lay in there nice and clean. So that's all cleaned up. And there was some brazing. Everywhere I went, there were just blobs of brazing that would like interfere. So I went ahead and got that cleaned up everywhere. And we had a little problem here where there was something, I kept digging at it and cleaning it, and then there was a hole. So I had to weld that up and grind that smooth. So we got most of all this little stuff done. And then I was talking to Dave. We were talking about, you know, gas pedal, you know, assemblies and everything else. And I thought, well, man, I got to get something mounted in here. So what I did was, if you guys can see that, I bought that that gas pedal assembly that will bolt right onto a flat firewall, since I took all the provisions for the factory one out. And so I got that. It was like, I got a Speedway, I think, for like 30 bucks. And I wanted the style where it was floating in midair, as you see right there. Now, I went ahead and bought the one that attaches to the floorboard. You push like that because there were provisions for it down there. This car, I guess, could come with either one, or possibly they just stamped it one way and put another one in. So what I did was I went ahead and cut the lower assembly off my factory one and welded it onto that one. So now I have the best of both worlds, where it attaches to the firewall, everything's in the right position, it's looking good, the position and everything, height, and then I went ahead and cut out the plate and everything where the little balls screwed into that, so that's all welded up. So that's all taken care of. So it's one thing after another. I keep running into stuff that needs to be done. So let's go ahead and get to work on the door jambs here. Now this door jamb was pretty bad. See if I can get that light in there. There we go. So this is leaded right here. And you can see that big chunk right there. Well, there was a piece of lead in there, and I saw I'm cleaning and picking and making sure everything's good, and that thing comes loose. I pry that whole piece out. So I'm not gonna re-lead that. I'll just fill that with some metal reinforced body filler, and we'll get that smoothed off, because all of this right here shows. This is where the door seals up against it. So I straightened all this out, and that's what we're gonna do on the other one. And then I got down to here, and where this sheet metal spot welded here, or brazed right here, it was loose and broken. One little tiny piece of brazing held it together, and the more I messed with it, straightened it, then it broke loose. So I had to TIG braze that. I came in here with the burr tool and cleaned all this up, and then we just kept going down and around and cleaning up all the other stuff. So that's what we're gonna be need to get to on the other side, and that shouldn't take much, because that side looked way better than this side, but we do need to get it done. All right, let's take a look at what we got to take care of here. So you guys can see right there, that leading is just, I mean, we got a blob right here. We got kind of just hanging out there. So I think once we start cleaning that up, that's going to break loose too. So we want this nice and smooth, because that's right where the weather strip seals, and this transition is kind of funky right here. And we got blobs of lead. I mean, they just painted over it, so they didn't really care. We're going to double check this for straightness. We want that nice and straight. And then when we come over here, you guys can see that dip right there. So it dips in and then it comes back out. So that's going to be a failure point where the seal doesn't want to seal very well. So we're going to want to kind of dolly that back out. Excuse me. And then we've got some brazing here that needs to be cleaned up. And then we need to go down and make sure all these other flanges are straight and cleaned up. So, and actually a little bit of paint left over from getting it stripped. So let's go ahead and take care of this leaded area right here, and then we'll move over to that brazed area. All right, guys, we're going to use the, I guess that's the pine cone burr tool, and I'm quite sure that's going to fall out. I can push on it, and it's actually moving just with my fingernail, my thumbnail. Oh, there it goes right there. So obviously that's no good. You don't want stuff like that, so we want to make sure everything's nice and sound when we put the epoxy down. So let me get this cleaned up here a little bit, and then see what that blob is. Yeah, that's a lot better. All right, let's get the roll lock in here, get that cleaned up a little bit better. And it's nice and sound, it's not loose, it's been connected all together, so when we fill it, it won't move. All right, that's it. It's taken care of. Let's move over to the other side. Okay, in this area, it looks like it's low back in here, which is good. We can fill that. So if I just take a piece of flat sheet metal and hold it up there like it's the door jamb, or the door frame, excuse me, we can see there's going to be a gap back there. So what we want to make sure is this is straight, and that these come together at the right planes. So when that door closes, that weather strip actually seals all the way, and you don't have whistling or water or something getting in there. So I think we're looking pretty good. I want to bump this up just a little bit right there, and then we're going to get in there and grind all this extra brazing that's kind of blobbed out here and try to get that transition a little tighter, and then get some of this other stuff cleaned up. But this side looks way better than the other side, that's for sure. So let me see if I can get something in there real quick. Okay, I just have like an old crappy screwdriver that I bent years ago. Let me see if I can fish it up in there a little bit. And we're just gonna push on that. We're not trying to bend that out. What we're going to try to do is put pressure on it and then tap. Slowly bring that back up. It's actually moving. You guys probably can't see it, but it is moving. And that feels a lot better right there. I got a little low spot right there, and then we have to take this back down right there. Just like doing hammer dolly off. So actually that looks pretty good. So now we just need to get this down. And that looks pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that right there. Let's get that bird tool in here and clean all this up, and this corner will be done. Oh yeah, that feels a lot better. All right, we got that cleaned up pretty nice. So now we have a nice transition right there. A little low back there, we're going to fill that so it's nice and clean. But we got to wait till we get epoxy on it. So we got a little something sticking out here. It needs to be ground off, sanded up. This actually looks pretty good right here. Maybe just a little bit of work right there at their brazing. And I did weld up some holes that were right here just from the way it was spot welded together. There was a little hole I didn't like, so I welded that up already. And I've straightened this one up. We just need to get all the spot welds cleaned up. And then I think we're pretty good down in this area and everywhere else. So we just need to do a quick hit of all the spot welds, clean everything up. I've got this flange already kind of cleaned up, so it'll receive the epoxy real nice. So let me go ahead and get this this door jamb kind of wire wheeled and sanded, and then I think we'll be pretty good. It'll probably take me longer to get all that old paint off there. It looks like about 3 or 4 layers. So let me bust that out and I'll bring you right back. All right guys, all done. I'm glad this car is not a 4-door, that's for sure. So we got everything wire wheeled really well, all the nooks and crannies, got all the spot welds hit with the Rolock to smooth those out so they didn't have any sharp edges. And I tried to smooth out any other sharp edges that was on here. Wire wheeled it, hit it with the DA where I could, hand sanded with 220, and then hit it with the Scotch-Brite pad or the Dura Gold in the 150 grit. So it came out really nice. Super clean, everything's prepped really nice and ready for epoxy. So yeah, glad to get this one done, and we can move on to the last little bit, which is that right there. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. All right, before we move down to the quarter panel, I want to get all these grooves up in here where the channel is nice and clean. So I just have a wire wheel on the drill, and we're just going to kind of cram it up in here. Get this done. You can see all that dust and stuff flying out of there. So this is about all the prep that's going to get up inside there, so we want to do a good job. It really doesn't take that much effort, and it's certainly worth it to get all that nice and clean up inside there. So it's actually looking pretty good. I already did up inside here where the bottom side of the drip check is. So I got a much smaller wire wheel and got right up inside there. And I've got a little, just a hand wire brush that I go up in there and do it too. So that's all done. Let's move down to the quarter panel. Okay, since the exterior skin is so smooth, the contours are really gradual. I didn't use the wire wheel on the outside very much. Now where I needed to, you know, down in the nooks and crannies and some spots, I definitely used the wire wheel like I was doing on the interior. But for the exterior skin, I switched over to the Bauer surface conditioning tool. Now I've had this about 1.5 years, 2 years, I guess, and I tried the 120 grit drum, and it was just too coarse. It really was, you know, the skin is so smooth already, there's no really reason to go that coarse. And so I switched up to the 240 and it did a much better job. And just like the wire wheel, this, I'm turning it very slow. So that's as fast as it'll turn right there. So I'm on a 3, that should be a 3. So I'm not going very fast, so to give it a chance for the drum to actually do the work, all right? If I was spinning it really fast, just like the wire wheel, I found it just kind of bounces off and it skips a lot of spots, and really that's not what we want. So let's go ahead and get in here and get this done. Okay, as you guys can see, that thing works fantastic. It does a great job, and really we could probably stop right there, but I want to hit it with the DA with 220 on it, get the whole thing done. We've got a little spot over there we're going to do by hand with a little wire wheel too, and then we'll switch over to the Dura Gold, go over the whole thing, and this little spot will be done. All right, the reason I hit it with a 220 with the DA, because this DA can hit spots that possibly that drum missed. And that's the same reason I use the Dura Gold, because I found the Dura Gold to get down into little tiny spots that nothing else is hitting. So we want everything touched at least once by something. All right, let's hit it with a Dura Gold here. You can actually see the difference when I do this. See that finish? Now lets me get down inside those creases and everything. Alright, it looks pretty darn nice. I like it. I like that it's done. I am done. I'm sure I'm going to find a few little spots I need to touch up, but the majority, or 99.9% of it, is done. Alright guys, it looks so good, I say we just spray it with some clear and drive it like that. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's got to be red. It's looking really good though. I'm really happy to get this part done. We are done on the inside. We are now done on the outside. And the body is ready to be thoroughly blown off, vacuumed out, rotated several times, make sure we get everything out of all the little nooks and crannies, and then wipe it down with wax and grease remover, probably wipe it down again. And then I think our next step is going to be getting inside there and start trying to seal inside all those passageways and everything else. So that's going to be interesting, but I'm really happy to get this done. It looks really good, guys. I mean, that metal is just perfect. Just begging to get some epoxy sprayed on it. So we're gonna oblige. All right, guys, I am so glad to get done. I have never touched a car this much in my life. Inside, outside again. It just seems like it's never ending. So basically both sides of the sheet metal, wherever it is, I've done something to it. So pretty happy to get this done. And I'm really confident that the epoxy is going to adhere well. We're going to seal this car up super tight. And you know, it could be a submarine and it probably won't rust. So I'm pretty happy to get this done. You know, sometimes we're doing body work, we cover something up and we're always in the back of our mind, is that going to come back to haunt me? Well, nothing's going to come back to haunt me on Ruby, that's for sure. So really happy to get this done and get moved forward with spraying some DTM on the inside. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell, drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.